Alright. We are up. We are online too. Alright. Let's go to here. Yeah. Okay. 100 followers. Jesus. I know. I'll probably stream a couple of hours. We'll see. Oh my goodness. That's 28 days. Survivor is one less. Okay. No one responded. Okay. Definitely odd. But, let's see. Oh shit. Let's see. Alright. Anyone around? Probably not. It's a slow night. I don't see anybody online right now. Mm-hmm. 3-9. Weird. Oh, that's weird. Nobody around. Let's see. Yeah, no thank you. You're a bot. Goodbye. Yeah. I probably won't be online too long today. I unfortunately have book work. How do you say your name? Poovjo? Poovjo. Is that your name? I don't know. Trying to understand your name in the comments section. Yeah. Kind of an unusual name. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's on deck? Not much, man. What was the SCL yesterday? Do you know, Victoria? I don't remember. What was the SCL on? Do you remember? Sean Tracy. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Right. Sean Tracy sat down with Disco. Right. Uh. Well. Well, crap. Let me think here. Right. Yeah, I remember what you're saying now. Okay. So, close this. Close this. So, what we're going to do. Sean Tracy, huh? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, because the audio team one was kind of boring. Yeah. Hold on just a second. New capture. Window capture. Cancel. There we go.
Forgotten and lost history that never was.
Yeah, yeah.
Of their lost issues.
Yeah, I did tell her. I'm like, yeah, I wonder if they should collab with Blue. And she's like, who's Blue? I'm like, see, you don't know. But
Hold on. I'm going to mute my mic and give your my afterthoughts with this, but I'm going to let Sean talk.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live Tech Talk with Sean Tracy. I'm your host, Sean Tracy, and are you? No.
And I'm your guest, Jared Huckabee.
If you've never seen Sean, if you've never seen Sean Tracy before, just you wait. The first thing was a fake mess up, and then I immediately followed that by a real mess up because I'm a professional. I'll tell you, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I got a new implant up here. It's kind of vibrating when I talk, and it's being really weird to me.
Okay.
Like I have an implanted tooth, and it's vibrating when I
What
talk right now.
did you get implanted that vibrates?
A new tooth.
I understand, but what's it made of?
No, I don't think it's secured. I don't think it's secured
I'm just
properly.
teasing you, like you're going bionic.
Sibboleth. Sibboleth. I did a show like a couple weeks ago. I was completely missing a tooth. Just completely missing a tooth. And the whole thing, I was like, I kept my mouth like this. I like this. I don't know if anybody noticed.
My old man had the same thing. He had an old fake tooth on it. And anyways, he would.
Yeah, mine doesn't come out. Mine's in there. It's just not in there super secure. It's vibrating. That's going to be weird. It's going to be a focus for the entire show.
So, I'm your host, Jared Huckabee.
So, this show is called Tech Talk with Sean Tracy. Now, Sean Tracy is the Senior Director of Tools, and what is your title? Is changed?
Actually, it's changed. Yeah, it's changed because they keep running out of words for
You do have one of the
different
longest
titles that doesn't come into executive because I do not want to be in that C-suite. I'm quite happy where I am. Just below it and helping out with the developers because I like working with dev. I like keeping my hands on stuff. So it's managing director of technical operations, which is a big, long title that just brings together tools, technology, animation technology, character technology, and all that.
Chat's like, so the D suite.
Yes, the D suite. Yikes.
Welcome to the D suite.
Yeah. But definitely not an executive. A lot of people think that I've been, but I'm not. Like that's.
I promise
I'm a
nobody's ever
developer
thought
like
you were
everybody else.
executive.
But I do have a lot of reports at this point. Yes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
the
reports.
tech pillar is a rather large pillar.
It's gigantic, actually, and right now our core technology group (CTG) is split in two, with two of us at the top. So Benoit's over top of all, and then Marco and I split the two departments, so it doesn't end up being 200 onto one manager or whatever.
NTC Transport says, Sean Tracy in the C-suite. Sweet, no, not in the C-suite.
No, not yet. I mean, someday, right? Maybe Chris goes and Rich and I can take over, but we're not there yet.
We
should probably finish some games first.
Other people, maybe not.
Maybe
Not you.
not me.
Certainly
Probably
not
just
me.
forever. Yeah,
Certainly.
I'm quite happy. Super happy.
So, while Sean works in the tech content tree, the scope of his work is not nearly as broad as Benoit's. So, one of the things that continuously challenges this show in our effort to improve as we go along is properly conveying and identifying the topics that are appropriate for our guest for the show. So we thought we'd do a little thing. Look at that. That's going to pop up from time to time. Today's topics are questions and situations and improvements and whatnot related to the engine, which is Star Engine, the editor, which is the thing with the interface for the engine where everybody makes their stuff, all the various tools that allow all of our stuff to connect, whether you're using Blender or 3D Max or whatever. Big focus on animation and character tech. And then, of course, just a little bit of VR.
And it's just because I'm helping. It's just because I'm helping. I can't take anything away from Sylvan's work that's going on with VR, which is fantastic and it's great stuff. But by no means am I doing nearly the hands-on work that he's doing. And I'm just involved a little bit.
Gotcha. So we're going to start into the questions as we usually do. We put a thread up on Spectrum. We went through and pulled the questions that were actually related to the topics. Let's just be real plain and up front. The overwhelming majority of the questions were not on the topics or for this person, but people like to try. So we're going to get into the questions that were appropriate. And the first question we have was about the character customizer expansion. This was actually about 8 different questions that we've all sort of combined into one here. Will we be able to edit body type, height, weight, scars, cybernetics, image-based face creation, FOIP scan import, Talk to us about the future of the character customizer.
All right. So it's a great question. And all of the topics that they brought up there have been brought up by Chris. So the short answer is yeah. When? Wow. There's a lot of pieces to that. So one of the things that is coming sooner than it is later is scars, and we call it's the feature and the technology of it is blood, sweat, and tears is what we call it, right? So it's so the characters can bleed, so they can sweat, so that they can cry. And what that does bring you is some decal support for the characters, and that's what's actually really critical to have scars and things like that. That starts getting into, so the tech enables this, but that starts getting into design discussions like, okay, when does a scar get made, right? Does a scar last forever? How long does it last? How does Death of a Spaceman work into scars, blood, sweat, tears, these kind of things? So I think there's a lot of great conversations to come for that, but it will be completely enabled. So we're gonna be able to put a character in, just put the scar on them, looks great. But as far as that being a dynamic thing that happens when a player is playing, again, we've got to have design discussions to see exactly how that would work out, but the tech would absolutely allow it. So that's just on scars. The body question is a bit of a bigger question, and it's already been a mandate that Chris has put forward that he wants to be able to have custom bodies. Now, I'm not going to talk about the height adjustment because the height adjustment is a different problem than is the, I call it thin fat variations. So thin fat variations have been around for ages and ages and ages. And the old way of doing it is you literally have a thin one, you have a fat one, and you kind of blend in between all of them, right? As you guys know, we have a really, really sophisticated system in DNA within the face. What I'd like to develop and what we are beginning to develop now is DNA for the body. So DNA for the body would give us basically all the same abilities that we have within the face, giving a massive amount of ranges of body types that you could blend in between depending on different controllers or whatever you'd want to do. So that's where Chris wants to take this. Now, there's so many challenges, guys, because it's not just about doing the body. Like, I think a lot of people think about the customization, they see a guy standing there in an outfit, and they're like, cool, that should just work. I agree, but that amalgamation of a character is like 12 assets, all independent, right? If I would to restart this game again, I would make every body the exact same topology, every shirt on top of it, the exact same topology, so that we could do those blending kind of things. But that's why we've got to utilize something like DNA and a Raptiformer on top of it to be able to do that. But so you guys are aware, when we mark up a hair or we mark sunglasses, toques, or anything around the face, it takes some time. It's a lot like skinning. We have to mark up the vertices to say how much or how little do you move, how do you move, whether it's elastic, whether it's a rigid, it takes some time. We would have to do that then with every single body asset. And just to give you some idea, we are nearing 1,200 body type assets within the PU. It might even be higher. That's the last I checked. 1,200 assets. So we're talking a lot of stuff over many, many years, and they're all in different states of, you know, where's the mesh, LODs, face orders. It's tricky. So the things that go on the face to make DNA work, we know the vert order of every single one of those faces, and we know the vert order of the attachment, so we can move it. But if we have all these assets on top of a body, we don't know that. So basically, we have to make a Protoss body, like we have the Protoss head, which is the mass average. Then we have to mark up every single asset that would go on top of it to move appropriately within all those ranges. So it's just a lot of work. So I think the first step, but it's a question I think a little bit later. First step is going to be something like Starware, right? And then we need to be able to look at the body adjustment. It's a question a little bit later on as well. The other place that we are able to use this is on new types of bodies. And what do I mean by new type of body? Well, I mean things like a quasi-grazer. I mean bodies like a worm. I mean bodies that don't have many attachments yet. We can start doing some stuff with those. So having, we like to call them DNA creatures, makes a lot of sense. But there's a ton of challenges. Ivo Herzeg has taken a huge look at it on our animation programming tech. Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
I haven't talked to Evo in forever.
Well, I talked to him yesterday. Well, there was a bug in his code, I thought. And he proved to me the whole time it was not a bug in his code. it was somebody else's that sits near him, so that was funny. But yeah, he's already looked into this, and we've started sort of the investigations into it. So that's body, and I realize this is a very long-winded answer, but that's a lot of questions in one. So we've gone over scars, we've gone over bodies. What was the other? Oh,
Cybernetics.
scanning. Oh, cybernetics. Cybernetics much easier. We actually have characters that use cybernetics already. There's something at Battaglia within the PU, and there may or may not be some within Squadron as well that we've used that. So to do it on a character is pretty straightforward for us. It actually relies on the underpinnings of Starware to work really well. Because Starware will be able to adapt to different arms, different lengths of like. There's a whole bunch of stuff that will come with those attachments. So I think that's shortly to come. There's no tech stopping us now from the cybernetics of it. But the question then begets, can you take it off? What happens to FPS gameplay when you take your right arm off?
Yeah.
Right? There's some questions to be answered within.
It could be just cosmetic, but that would not be a very Star Citizen approach.
Yeah, but how ridiculous would characters look running around okay, yes, you can put a gun in your left hand, but right now, all of our animations all very much expect that you're holding that weapon like this. So they're just running around like this. Like, come on. That's not really going to work out. Could we do it with NPCs? 100%, right? No problem. And I think you'll see a lot of that in the coming year for NPCs actually using that kind of stuff because it's there, and we do a lot of it. So that is cybernetics.
Image-based face creation.
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation because, as you know, anybody that's followed the project for a long time has known that I'm really into the weirdy tech, like the FOIP tech, or trying to scan things. As they might be aware, I did all the scanning systems for Squadron 42 for all our head DNA. So this is near and dear to my heart because, of course, when we go sit down on a scanner, as you have, right, and we spent a good time, we got you to shave, which was.
I shave semi-regularly.
Yeah.
It just usually comes back by the time
we got you to shave, and scanned you up, and now we have a glory. Oh, I need to tell the community about this picture we have. You know, the dental dam. So, so we have a great image community, and maybe if you, I don't know, you're gonna have to make a Spectrum thread and really, really request this one. It is of Jared's teeth in a dental dam. He looks beautiful. I think it's great. I love the fact that we now have 8 directors who were very specifically selected. I have this as ammo in case, you know.
Yeah, you don't just have. You're making this sound like it's some weird thing that I did for you. You have the entire
for everybody.
You have the entire development leadership.
So when we scan ahead, we need to scan the teeth because we do give you the actual teeth of the character. Because if you put somebody, this is gonna sound weird. If you put somebody else's teeth in somebody else's mouth, it doesn't look right.
We do give you the actual teeth of the character.
Yes, we do. Yeah, absolutely. They can check in DNA. It always does it. It's cool. So we have Jared with his poor dental dam in there, you know.
Back when he still had the natural tooth and it hadn't been replaced yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you just did that.
This just happened.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. So that's all fine and dandy, but we can't have people do that at home. Not the dental dam. You can do that for your own fun if you want, but in terms of scanning, nobody would want to do that. So there are ways to get the image projected out onto a character, but people have tried this before in games, and I reference a very specific project, NBA 2K15.
Yep.
Go ahead and Google it now. NBA 2K15 facial scan or face scan. Or, yeah, NBA 2K15 face. And you'll see the results, and they're very unfortunate, those results. So if you're going to do it, it needs to work super freaking well because, again, you're going to contort your own players' faces, and that is not something that people, as funny as it is, it's not something you want running around in the verse. So the only time we would do it is if we could guarantee those results. Now, DNA kind of takes us that direction. So what I think is much more interesting is taking a FOIP capture or a webcam capture or even just an image capture and driving DNA as close to that position as possible.
Right.
And then bringing in whatever texture makes sense for that. Like you get the closest you can. So it's not a true scan. It's more of a DNA approximation of you rather than a full scan. I personally think that's probably a safer way to go, and I really hope you guys have Googled 2K.
Oh yeah, no, they are. The search analytics for 2K15 just went up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I actually used that feature in WWE 2K20.
Did it work good?
Yeah, I got it. Well, I was able to cover like the bottom half with a beard and stuff like that, but for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't mess up too bad.
No, you could tell it was sort of me.
Oh, that's
underneath.
good.
More
Hey, cool. I honestly, I thought they gave up.
no.
I thought they just bailed on it.
Oh, no.
They did for a couple years, though.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe again, whether resolutions are higher. But anyways, I think that's a very reasonable way that we could do this. Is it going to work? I don't know. Haven't tried it, but I hope to get there.
Yeah, I think the faceware thing is the FOIP thing is probably the right thing, because you can get all the points in the structure from that,
Exactly.
and then alter the structure, and then just find the
Precisely.
texture, and
Yep.
you can get people half the way to.
Yeah, and I
making
think
their face
we've
right
got
there.
enough textures, especially now that we've done the new scan set and we've got like 60 or 70 of the new materials and all that in, plus the skin tinting. You can actually approximate somebody's skin tone pretty close. And there's a whole bunch of algorithms you can do to do that. So, I think it's worth an effort for sure. But I can't guarantee it. Because, again, I work a lot on the technology that enables the developers. That should be my title, I'm your developer's favorite developer. That really would be the title, developer's favorite developer. So I make the tools for
He
these
keeps
guys.
trying to make this happen. He asked me to make it his intro at the beginning of the show, and I'm just like,
I love it. I think Chaperone's super cool too, but she was the one that really properly coined it, I think. But it's-
Chaperone is super cool. I got 2 different skins on Fortnite.
Oh, right from Ford. Yeah.
And there go any cool points I might have had.
What do you mean? Oh, because you play Forget it. I play Fortnite sometimes too with the kids.
I like to shoot kids in faces sometimes. Just like 11:30 at night before I go to bed. It's just like I'm just gonna
Yeah.
just murk some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you can say it's over your bedtime. But honestly, that they tend to smack talk me better than I smack talk them.
Let's stick with character tech animation stuff for a bit. Let's flash. Hey, look, we got our topics there. Nice. Let's talk some male-female model parity, if you will. Why are the male and female player models so different in terms of bugs and feature support?
Yes. So we just talked a little bit. I mentioned it. The player heights. So height adoption. The reason we have different heights between male and female is we have different rigs. We have identical human rigs, but they are different heights and they've got different controllers, different offsets, all these different things. So that means that their assets actually get skinned independently. We also have different geometry in some cases. Like we take parity pretty seriously. Like we've made sure that when an armor goes out, it's got both versions. And we don't go over the top with the female version's massively different than the male version. It's darn close. I hope that most of the time you can still tell that there is a difference, but there is, and it gets skinned separately. So it's dealt with as a separate asset. And commonly what happens is that somebody just messes up one of them, or they're in a rush, or we're trying to get a whole boatload of assets done at one time, and either the male one gets missed and the female one goes in, or the female one gets missed and the male one goes in. So it happens, but we are really trying to keep parity in place as much as possible. So the reason those break down is just because they're two separate assets, completely different. In terms of design and the data on the design side, they're identical. So we have one, it's called a record, a data record. We have one record, and then depending on what skeleton that record goes onto, it will go down a different path of geometry in that record. So for example, we just set a tag, it says female, and we have other tags like hanging. If it's on a hanger, it looks like the hanging version. If it's in a locker, it looks like the locker version. So it goes through this little tree of sub-geometries, we call them. So yeah, that's why it happens. But we do take it pretty seriously. So most of the time that something like that comes up, we absolutely try to do it. Another big reason is some legacy assets, for sure, that just weren't created for a female in the first place before we actually started taking this seriously. Because if people remember, we didn't always have a female player, right?
Yeah, the team has been pretty good about this when it gets pointed out and brought up to. Obviously, there's a lot of, you mentioned how many assets there are in the game to track. Every single time one has come across my path, I've been able to message like Armando and been like, dude,
Yep.
this shirt's been on the mail model, only worked on the mail model for the last like 6 years. Can you help me out here? And it's not a high priority thing, but it's still, it doesn't make it any less important. He's always been really good. Shout out to Armando and
Yeah,
everybody
Armando's great.
everybody on the tech on the tech art team. They always find a place to squeeze it in between tasks.
Yes.
And whenever they can.
Yeah.
You can't make the priority call above almost anything else, but there's always going to be those downtime moments between
100%.
tasks and whenever they can, they always squeeze it in.
Yeah, and I get, not to use the dirty word, but tech debt, right? That is what it is. That's exactly it. That's unfortunately what you're seeing there is a bit of debt that's accrued because of decisions or priorities.
Steambag, first time chatter in the Twitch chat, says, so glad these guys have a stages set with all the cool toys to show us instead of a fully functioning game. Hi, Steambag. I don't make the game. I'm here. It doesn't slow down any aspect of game development. And for most of this cool stuff, this is my childhood lunchbox. This is the lunchbox I had when I was like 6. Actually, I was 4 when I had it. And I used to take it to primary school. There's no rust inside it. I've really taken care of it. Oh my! Somebody play with it. My thermos is
Your
upside
house
down.
key's still in there,
Yeah. But this stuff to me doesn't slow down the game at all. It just helps communicate. It helps educate. Helps let people know what's going on. So, you wouldn't want me in code. Although, I did have I was the first person to add multiplayer to the Hangar module.
Oh, really?
Way back when, yeah. I got into a hyper focus for like 4 days straight where I only slept like 8 hours. And I took the CryEngine SDK, I took the Hangar module at the time, like the first one, and I took a less than legal copy of Crysis 2. And I basically just was comparing everything of this, and I basically managed to put multiplayer back into the Hangar module because it's just
So you're why our crisis bonuses were really small.
yeah. And I packed it all up and I sent it to a guy in Australia, and we actually were able to log into each other's Hangar, and we had the first FPS match. We did a race. There's videos on YouTube and everything, but that's what I used to do before I worked.
No, that's awesome.
It's not coding though. It's just raw.
Data man.
I want to understand how this works, kind of thing.
That's cool.
But again, that doesn't fix a game really. It just causes trouble. Tools. How many tools would you say you've made, and how they accelerated development?
Well, honestly, if you count how many tools I've made, it's not nearly as many as how many CTG has made, right? And we're easily hundreds and hundreds of different tools, scripts, because it's like, what's a tool, right? Is it an executable? Is it a Python script? Is it a Python script within Maya? Is it a Mel script in Maya? Is it Mac script? We've got so many. TechArt has a whole bunch. We've got CTG tools. We've got engineering tools. We've got designer tools. We've got production tools. We've got, I've got my Frame.io to Jira tool recently. So there's honestly probably upwards of 1,000. I mean, but it's all going to, depending on what the function of that given tool is, because what it's designed to be, a tool here is to force multiply somebody, doing something, whatever that may be. And a lot of times it's to speed things up. That is probably how I spend most of my day, is trying to figure out how much faster a person can go if I made a process easier for them, if I put something in front of them that made a lot of sense. So a lot. And we've got entire teams dedicated to even different areas of the tools. Like just alone on the editor, right? We've got a team for the editor. It's not a gigantic team, but it's a very, very busy one that is maintaining, again, there's thousands of tools just in the editor. maintaining the Python implementation in the editor, maintaining all the plugins within the editor, whether that's a character tool, whether that's a mannequin tool, whether that's the universe outliner, whether that's level design tools. So there's a whole bunch that happens there. So that's one team. Then we've got another team that works on kind of global tools. I call it, it's CTG Tools UK. They work on
So
tools
good at
like,
naming things.
yeah, I know, right? It's like super uninventive. The cheekier names get confusing, though. That's the only problem,
Yeah.
right? So they work on kind of the global tools for all the developers. So this is anything outside the editor they tend to work on. So a good example is copy build. When I got to this company, there was literally no way to download a build to your computer. You had to open up our Perforce, and I'm not sure everybody knows Perforce, but it's our source control repository management, and you would sync everything, like everything,
Everything.
and you would launch it. And I was like, crazy. So they then got a build system. Great. Okay, so now the thing runs through a build and it makes a little package and artifact. And the best thing they had was just copy paste from network onto a local drive. Okay, so we have evolved obviously to honestly just as good as any other company that's out there in terms of our back-end build infrastructure and our distribution, which is what CopyBuild does. So CopyBuild does the patching, does all this kind of work. So basically everybody runs CopyBuild that is going to be working on the game. Almost everybody, anyways, runs CopyBuild as our build distribution. So they work on that. They also work on a very, very big tool called DataForge. And a lot of people will come on here and talk about DataCore or DataForge records or entity records or whatever. That is the tool that manages those. It's huge. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of data, and there's a lot of interfacing in that data that people do. So, I'm just rattling off a whole bunch of them, but that is what those guys work on, which is generally overall. Then we have, a newer team, a little bit newer, right? Montreal Tools. And Montreal Tools works on Starchitect, first of all. That's been discussed quite a bit, I think, especially with the new planets on the way. And that's going to be the way to propagate the locations out in a less manual way than we've been doing it, because it's the only way that we're going to be able to scale. But that is when things are going to ramp up like crazy location-wise. That's going to get a lot faster.
Even beyond what they have. I mean, we just delivered
Yeah.
2 star systems in the same calendar year.
Yeah.
This is going to take us to the next level. of
Exactly, and it's all
productivity.
part of Genesis, which is great. So they're working on that. They also work on some density profilers in the engine. We're also working on a system called Tiny Machine, which is a smart asset system. I don't want to get too into details on it, but smart assets are cool. It's basically as you move something around the environment, it actually has contextual awareness of where it's doing, what it's doing. Just a super simple example is if I put a ladder up to a wall, it'll adjust to that wall depending on what that height is. So then that way, level designers, it's not like, oh, I need the 10-meter ladder, I need the 15-meter ladder, I need the 6. They just put a ladder there and it's tall enough and it works, right? Like that's kind of the idea with Tiny Machine, but it'll go much, much broader than that. So I think that'll append to Starchitect, but that's all kind of within its own wheelhouse. And then even beyond that, we have like online tools, online services tool team, the OST and the live tools team, which works on a tool in our backend called Bootstrapper, which is basically the way that we run our environment without having to send it up to AWS. So you can kind of run the environment locally now. It's getting harder and harder to do that because our universe is bigger and bigger. So trying to run those servers on just a local PC can take a lot of memory out of it. So if you're a developer and you're running Max, Maya, Editor, the client, and Bootstrap, it can kind of get a little heavy. But there's all sorts of things going on with that. So there's a bunch of different tool teams that are helping the developers make this game happen, basically. So yeah.
When you put those when you put the self-adjusting ladder and stuff in, will they still yeet people out of their ship and across the galaxy?
I hope not. But you know what that comes down to? And it is a thing that this fixes, is that comes down to different implementations. So like, okay, somebody made a ladder entity at some point 6 years ago. Now somebody made one 3 years ago. Now somebody made one 2 years ago. And this one uses this one uses this one does. It unifies everything. So it just makes all of them are easy to play. So you just use this one. It's the only implementation that'll happen. And that way, when you fix stuff, it fixes it on everything and not just on, couple of place ones.
Jared is a 7-Up guy. Ew, Sprite for the win. Jared is a what they put in the fridge at work guy.
Right.
That's what I am.
I would say, since I'm living in the U.S. and I come out here very often, that the 7-Up Zero here, amazing.
Yeah.
In the U.S., absolute
Trash.
crap.
Absolute trash.
Absolute crap. I don't know why. And if that gets me in trouble, I hope not. You know, not like I'm getting sponsorship from them. But I will say that Sprite Zero on the other side is amazing.
Yes.
Over here is total crap. So
Yeah.
what the heck?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Because they have to use different sweeteners and stuff. The UK is pretty gung-ho
It's such a weird experience.
on their zero sugar stuff. Like you find way more zero sugar options here in the UK than you can anywhere else because they decided to tax the hell out of sugar a
I
while.
have that Dr. Pepper I said I didn't want on camera. But
The
the Dr. Pepper Zero here is awesome.
good.
It has that caramel. Yeah, sorry. I'm
I like the one with cherry.
way off topic. I'm way off topic.
right.
Anyways, yeah. So that's a lot of tools. A lot of tools get made,
Yep.
and again, a tool is just as much a process as it is a tool. Sometimes the best tools are just rejiggering somebody's process a little bit, and it can work things.
I don't know. I think I'm looking at one of the best tools right now. Cherry
Bottom third, baby.
Cherry Pepsi Max is probably the single
Oh,
best.
yeah? I haven't tried
probably
it
the
here.
single
Like
best
here?
sugar free. Yeah, the
Okay, I
Cherry Pepsi Max here in the UK at least.
I gotta try.
Probably one of the best. Probably the best, the most elite of the zero sugar things. Plus, it's got caffeine still. All right, so we talked a little bit about Stargirth. What are we calling the thing where you adjust the?
Tiny machine.
No, the one where you adjust your torso.
Oh, it just body DNA.
I'm just trolling you.
Ozempic.
Let's talk. That's the other way. That's the other way. Let's talk about Starware. Had quite a few questions about Starware. We've name dropped it a few times, but not really an update. We've been talking about this for
Sure.
a while now. What can you tell us about where it's at?
Yeah, we have a super rigid schedule now. And actually, I got involved just a couple weeks ago just to check in on it because, I'll be super open about what happened. We made all the content. Tech Art kind of did everything, but was lacking a bit of engineering support and a bit of design support to finish it off. Now, that's all been addressed. There's a strike team all back together. They've got a really, really good schedule. It's not long. I'm not going to say exactly when, as that will be a roadmap or a Rich thing to talk about. He knows when it is, but it's within the year to get that out to the players. And a big part of it getting prioritized was the community asking for it. So got to thank the community for that. That was great. That they got this invisible undersuit by accident is what happened. And this invisible undersuit kind of gave them some of what Starware is meant to do. And people loved it. And of course they loved it. I was seeing jackets on armors on t-shirts and like awesome, cool, super cool. But I see people saying, "Oh, just give us back the undersuit." Like we don't want to half-ass the feature, right? Like let's not just half-ass it. Let's get the full Starware out there to you guys. So designs come in, engineering support's already in, so they're already working together. A small change happened once we got the designers involved. It was just splitting up. It was literally some really simple stuff, like splitting up the cuffs of the gloves, because the undersuit is like one suit, and we want to chop it into gloves now. So like, there's a couple pieces of it that required a little more content work, but it was only a month or two of content work, so we're not talking the end of the world. Again, I'm not giving a month or two estimate on when it's coming out. That it could come out before the end of the year, but yeah, the team's all back together, and we've got the right amount of support that needed to happen for Starware.
I mean, you could have just left the visible undersuit in until you were ready. Why do you hate fun?
Well,
Why do you hate fun, Sean?
Well, I hate fun because it would give a false representation of what you could do. And if something that they could do with the invisible undersuit as a bug doesn't work in Starware, they're going to then want that back, right, within Starware, whatever that may be. And that might be a design-breaking thing. So I don't want to give false representation, I guess, towards it. But so so it's clear. I think we've talked about it at Citizen. Armando had gone over it a little bit. So it does really go quite a long way in the customization of the thing. And one other quick little mention about it that's going to be really nice is for players as well as for developers, is once we get those assets all separated in the Starware fashion, and a lot of this has to do with that Data Forge record alignment and structure. Once we get all that, we can mark up those assets or set information on those assets so that our procedural systems can start using it properly. So, for example, if I know a T-shirt is green and it's cold, if I know a T-shirt makes sense in a warm environment, I know sunglasses make sense in a warm environment, I know shorts make sense in a warm environment. If I'm spawning NPCs procedurally, they should probably have T-shirts or shorts or sunglasses or whatever. Or if it's sunny out, then I can just do something.
right. Right
it's
now
these kind of pieces of markup that'll get really interesting.
Every NPC is a manual loadout.
Kind of. It's a set of manual.
A set of manual loadouts.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's not truly.
It's like we could have an NPC that has 10 different they're called loadout bundles.
Right.
It has 10 different outfits within the loadout bundles, and they will all kind of work together. But yeah, somebody's got to make those, which is crazy. Like, we don't have to do that.
So it sounds like the answer is you're just a jerk.
I think I hit that.
Leafy Dan says, Jared, wipe the lenses of your glasses, please. Mom?
Mom.
Mom's got a new username. No, I got my hoodie. Creature Tech. How is Creature Tech coming along? New beasts this year?
So I don't know about creatures this year necessarily, because right now I'm like from the CTG side, I work for both projects, so sometimes I don't even know which one is for what. So I don't know of new creatures for SC this year. There's just always a creature on the way in somewhere within the pipeline. Had been a lot of the Yolandi, had been the different
Yormandi.
Yorlandi. What am I saying?
Yorlandi is who we met at the. Never mind.
So there's always some creature in the group. So creature tech wise, I mean, we're in this state where we are, where it just works like a character. They're very similar. But as I mentioned before, we're looking into all the scalable skeletons as well as creature DNA so that we can give some massive amounts of variation to these guys. Because it's one thing to pre-can a couple assets and to spawn them like randomly or so, but it's a way different thing to have the range of like a DNA system or something like that. Even material systems need to be able to scale in the same kind of way. So that's where we're going. That's where we're heading. Is definitely that route. Now we're also going to be adding a bunch more Boids, like a bunch more of the more simplistic creature, not a full necessarily AI, but a critter that moves around that you can shoot and pick up, whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of the state of creature.
Okay. And I want to tack on to that answer. When Sean says he doesn't know, he's not being coy like, oh, I don't know if we're going to make it. He's saying he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's not part of the scheduled content. Doesn't make the content plan for the year. He just works on the tech behind. When other people determine it's ready and all the other aspects beyond his stuff, it makes it ready, that's when it goes in. And you often, come around going, oh, I didn't realize that went out.
100%. Yeah, happens a bunch.
Yeah, so he's not making a statement of cautious reservation. He's being quite literal. He doesn't know.
Well, I know because yeah, exactly.
Destructible foliage, vegetation.
Oh.
Can we chop down trees or run over vegetation like in the original CryEngine?
So no, you can't right now. Obviously, because people have probably driven their cars into the trees and stuff like that. Small ones, I think we just disappear sometimes, but most of them you just run into. So the original Crysis, so it's clear, was super ahead of its time. It used a cutter object. It was really cool, and anybody that does 3D modeling will understand a Boolean subtraction. And Boolean subtraction is a technique. You put one mesh kind of over top of another mesh, and you subtract the first mesh from the operand, from the next mesh, right? And it creates a hole. And what's cool when you do that, you can project the UVs and get the material from the cutter object anyways. We don't do that. anymore at all. That whole system is long gone. What we do have is in Maelstrom, which is not quite rolled out, I think, to the persistent universe, but is very in use for Squadron 42. We have 2D procedural fracturable planes that come out of Maelstrom. We've got fracturable 3D meshes that can come out without the Boolean subtraction. You don't need to do that. It's much less heavy in the end. But Maelstrom will be the system we likely rely on for all of that. Maelstrom is a heavily engineered system for all kinds of different destruction, and I'm sure the community's heard a bunch about it. Physics talks about it and works on it all the time. And Chris is particularly involved and interested in Maelstrom. If you know, if you say the word nearby, he will give you.
Yeah.
The feature list and the documentation and everything that goes. For example, I'm working on another area of Maelstrom right now for a given character for armor destructibility in some sense. Now, this isn't a big feature that I'm about to roll out. There's a very specific character that has to have some armor break off. That's all. So we need to make that work, and we didn't have characters working with Maelstrom, so that's something that's starting to happen. So I expect that we will be able to break trees. I expect that the level of immersion we've always wanted out of this game will let us do that. But how that works with the planets and Maelstrom, I cannot say. That's going to be physics and planet tech, and they're going to have it out.
You've said Maelstrom enough times, I have to expect Chris Roberts to just burst through here like the Kool-Aid man.
People say it weird. Maelstrom. Isn't that Maelstrom?
Maelstrom.
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 So not Maelstrom.
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 I mean you're Canadian.
Yeah, I guess. Don't talk about Matuke. Talking about Matuke.
Blue Minx.
Hey, Buddy Hoser.
Blue Minx says, then why does he even work at this company if he doesn't know? Maybe Jared should pick a random in streets to explain things. Because it's not his job, Blue Minx.
To know the roadmap of
He's
Star
got
Citizen?
he's got so many other things that are actually his job. He focuses on the stuff that he actually matters and is important and necessary. You know, I could say, why don't you should know better. You've been in these chats long enough, man. You've been here in these chats, watching these shows long enough that you know. I'm gonna suspect that that's a troll question, and you get to be timed out. Look, I just timed you out. You're timed out.
Is that kick?
That's a troll.
Is that a kick?
Yeah, he knows better. He knows better, and they showed me how the buttons work. So
Re-censorship.
what about VR physical interaction? Is full physics-based VR interaction, grabbing, lifting, throwing objects, NPCs, part of the long-term vision?
I would say it's part of the long-term vision, but how we get there is a whole conversation happening right now. As the community is aware, VR is super new. It's super new for us. It's just gone out in 4.5. Sylvan's done a phenomenal job on his own to get that working. OpenXR, awesome, right? But no controller support, right? And it's like the first thing you want to do, because already it's incredible when you go into it. It's I'll just talk about sitting in a cockpit is cool enough, right? You're sitting in the cockpit and your mouse and keyboard like this, right? But you see the character inside the cockpit is holding the joystick, holding the throttle, and you lean and stuff with the VR, and it sees you moving, and your character is moving inside the. And all of a sudden, you're moving the mouse and departing the keyboard, and it doesn't feel right. You want to have controllers, or you want to have your own actual joysticks or whatnot. But the immersion it gives you, and the things you notice that you don't notice when you're just playing on a screen versus you noticing it in VR, it begs the need to grab it, to interact with it, to see hands, to move it around. Now, technology-wise, I mean, it's not an impossibly hard problem, and it's kind of solved in some cases, in some games. There's a great VR game. It's not that obscure. I mean, a lot of people know it that are into VR. Boneworks. Boneworks has completely done this. Now, their characters can look crazy weird sometimes, especially in multiplayer, like when you are doing these kind of things. So a lot of these things, just like FOIP, it'll come down to our, not capacity, but our tolerance for wackiness, right? because again, as soon as you're driving the hands, because you could absolutely do this now. You could drive the wrists, the joint, anyways, that you would need to of the given hands, and you could drive them around. Think of what that would look like right now. Right? A guy's running through the first, like he could look like Superman. So there's a lot of stuff to solve, right? To make this so that it makes sense. Because we are totally unified in first person and third person rig. It's all the same thing. So we can't just show you one thing in first person, like your hand tracking and it works and it looks amazing. It's kind of how Half-Life Alyx works, which is an incredible VR experience. Like that is a bar to achieve just by itself. People will see you in third person doing these kind of things. So yeah, that's going to be a tricky thing. So it is something that we want Sylvan to be involved with. We want to start talking to design about, try to work out how this is going to work, because it's also not just about supporting one set of controllers. It's about supporting all the sets of controllers that are going to do it. So we've already had a tricky enough time supporting the gamepad, let alone, you know, these extraneous devices that are on top of it. So I think the interaction, it's impossible to say no, because you want it so bad when you are doing VR.
It's one of those things where, and I promise everybody, there will be a time where we'll have Sylvan in this chair and we'll do a whole thing about VR. We're gonna let it continue to mature a little bit more and know a little bit more about where we're going before we subject him to such things. But if you've spent any serious amount of time with Chris Roberts, you know, you said our tolerance for silliness and whatnot, it's never going to be just okay. It's never going to be, oh, that's all, that's enough. That's enough, and we can just sit there.
100%.
We're gonna push. We're gonna push, and we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing. Occasionally, chat. There'll always be somebody in chat talking about how are they still figuring this thing out in the year of our Lord 2026 and whatnot. And that's because this project doesn't end. You know, if we all have our way, we are making this game and continuing this game well beyond 1.0, well beyond 2.0, 3.0, just going on. It's like any other MMO. WoW's still going 20 some odd years later. It's like this. You know, that's our aspiration. So when we talk about these things, it's not about, the end goal is not 1.0 and you stop. And that's why sometimes the tense that we speak in can seem like it's out. We're already looking and planning, and you know, the thing that comes next, the thing that comes next, the thing that comes next, and the thing that comes next. So yeah, at this point, it would be foolish to say no. It would never get to a point where you can grab things and interact with things.
Yeah.
My dream is a nice little, little tracker that I just want to be able to throw the bird without needing anything, and I can just throw the bird and whatnot. I'm not a.
But think about it. We have diegetic screens, we have diegetic UI, we have the cockpit. So, like, of course we need to do it at some point. But when, who, what? We don't have a VR team, right?
Yeah.
So, the timings and details I just can't give. But to your point, which is so good, that we have to look that far ahead, because we have to make decisions now that we don't regret later. It's happened a lot, right? Right? Where we go, no, 1.0 is just gonna be this. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be great. And then that changes. And we're like, shit, now I'm wrong. I say it this way internally sometimes to people. You will eventually be made to be wrong, right? At some point. Just try to project yourself as far as you can so you're not. What's wrong? Did I just reveal something that was like some?
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing that's nothing that's been a secret on this show. Just the number of times over the years. You've been here 14, 13?
13.
Yeah, 13.
Well,
I've been here.
just under.
I've been here 11, going on 12 at this point. It's the number of times we've hit something because of a bad decision that was made 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And it was made back then with the best of intentions. Absolutely. It was made back then with all of the knowledge and experience and foresight that we could have had back then. 100%. And then you just go, oh, well, we can either accept that or we can rework the inventory for the third time or the fourth time.
And
we don't accept it.
unfortunately, yeah, that's where we end up.
If we can make something better, we're going to make something better.
Sure. And we're not going to sell it short. That's what Chris says. I'm with him. I get it. I get it. Does it suck to eat that sometimes? Yeah, it does. But in the end, it does work out, and you got to trust that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We haven't had many animation questions. Let's find an animation question.
Sure.
Can you add random blinking, eyebrow movement, body shifts when FOIP isn't active?
Yes, totally. We have a facial idle. We have a facial idle animation, but I agree. It's not as animated as it should be. I think it's a little too idle. Not meaning like it needs to talk and do all the, but yeah, blinks, a little bit of saccades. A lot of times you do those separately, like you almost just put them in as procedural. So like you got eye saccades going on, you got blinks going on. I think that makes a lot of sense, and actually it's something for facial animation. But so it's clear, I know facial animation is spending the lion's share of their time right now wrapping up Squadron. So pretty sure we can get something out of them. I'll mention it to Steve. I'm sure he'll have a look at some point. What also happens though, unfortunately, is that sometimes that facial scope of the mannequin animation breaks in certain contexts. So you might be, I don't know, it might break after wearing this helmet and changing this armor and doing this thing, and something breaks that context, and now their face is just dead the whole time. So, you know, if they're seeing that, that's a problem. There should be an idle all the time, and on everybody else. And if they're not seeing it, that's a culling problem, which is something else. But so yeah, we absolutely can add that.
You mentioned the blood, sweat, and tears thing earlier.
Yeah.
I remember we did that Star Engine trailer. It's 25-minute single
The fly-through.
I
don't know what that
one
was,
25-minute uninterrupted your tour of everything Star Engine, and of all the tremendous features, of all the various aspects, the last thing that we end on is a guy crying.
Oh, I know. I hated that. I hated that. I thought it was such a, yeah.
It was one of those things.
I didn't like that.
It's one of those things where you're so close to it when you're making it. Like there were so many hours. There were so many. We're so close to it that it never like. It wasn't until I'm in the audience, you know, run the show backstage. I'm like, okay, there's 25 minutes where nothing, and
Was he crying? He wasn't crying. He was bleeding.
It was bleeding. It was bleeding. It was the nosebleed.
Right. It wasn't crying. It was bleeding.
It was the nosebleed. I'm like, okay, I have a break from calling the show, so I take off and I go up and I want to watch this with the people and whatever. And it wasn't until it was live, and I've seen this thing 100 times.
Yeah, bro.
And the last thing is the nosebleed, and I'm like. So the question, I'm sorry, I'm way off.
Is there a question on that? Because we're just shitting on ourselves.
Yeah. This question is basically, are things like that just for the NPCs, or is that intended to come to players?
No, it's intended for players, absolutely. It's and the work on it is way more gory than I would have expected. It was actually so uncomfortable. Story time. We were doing a little bit of work on that system before. I had shown what a face looks like. Okay, so I made a little video with Dexter music, and I had a knife in the game, and I sliced the face, and it was super. I thought it was super funny. Right, I thought it was great. Forrest thought it was funny too. You know, he was like, check mark. But for some, it was gory, right? So in the end, I had to blur out a couple of the screenshots. And I know, like, it sounds stupid because it's like, oh, it's a video game, but it looked so freaking real that it was kind of weird. Like it was around his eye and stuff. It was all very gory. So there's some questions there, right? Of how far that goes or how far that needs to go. But we're going to have all those abilities, and right now it's a big deal for wrapping up on Squadron because, of course, there's humans and there's combat. So yeah.
We talked about Starware, Starcloth. Anything you can update us on?
Yeah, but I don't know that the community is going to care that much. The Starcloth technology continues.
They asked.
Yeah, no, it's great. No. It's just that we have
Not my
complete.
question.
So we talk about tools, right? So when we did Starcloth, we didn't really make a lot of tools for it. We just made it work. So I could have, I marked it up in Maya, we could export it. It was super easy to say. But to really, really start polishing some of the issues that we had with different sections of it, especially within Squadron, but also within the PU, to really polish some of the outfits that we need to start making, like ponchos over armor and things like that. We needed some more markup ability. So what they've done, it was really cool that Vineet, the physics guys, we have Abhinav in Montreal, they've all worked together to make a physics plugin for Maya that replicates Starcloth in Maya and the markup that we do within Maya, the deformation that we do with cages and things like this, so they can see it real time. So what this does is just amps up the quality of the data that we actually get out of it, and it's so much better. Because yes, we would go in the engine, but if I could show you, like I never did show the tools that we were using to paint in the engine. They were very basic. We have a system called Image GUI that has this very, very debug GUI. And the physics guys had made a quick tool so that we could just kind of broad stroke it, but you couldn't do anything sophisticated with it. Now that it's in Maya, super sophisticated. You still see it in engine real time and stuff like that back and forth, so that's fine. But it's just more control over it. Oh, one nice, I get so excited over these dumb things. We can now put, this sounds simple, but it's not. We can now put rigid objects, like rigid, okay, so for example, buttons. Buttons on the medical gown. There's an example. There's buttons that go down, or bishop's trench coats. They're rigid, and they're on top of cloth. Before, they were just like cloth. They would move like cloth, and it's hard to see it. But now that we have these rigid pits, they actually affect the simulation too. Just those rigid areas, it looks so much better. So there's a trench coat that Bishop has as well that has these, and it's totally not expected, but it has a belt that hangs down that has, it's like a big leather belt of a trench coat. And the belt hangs down, and there's these little grommets within the belt. So we made all those grommets rigid, totally changed how this thing looked, and it was way more real, way more what you would expect from that. So that's a nice little piece of tech that came out of that little work. I know it sounds small, but like, again, I'm your developer's favorite developer. They think it's great, so I think it's great.
I cherish you, Sean Tracy.
I love you.
We're just about out of time.
What?
Yeah, we're here. Oh. We're here. What do we talked at the beginning about the size of the tools team. We talked about all the different aspects. You represent, this pillar over here. There's Marco over there. There's Benoit like this. We have Benoit on every 6 months or so now. Do this, but we don't often get to talk about tools and stuff. It's not the sexiest topic. It doesn't have a whole lot of visuals to go with it. Often it's not, everybody wants to know about, when can I do this in the game and when can I do that in the game, and most of the conversation about tools is how we make the game, for instance. You've got a couple minutes here. You got a couple minutes here and we've got a platform. What would you like to say to the Star Citizen community? What would you like them to understand, to appreciate about the role of tools in making video games?
Yeah, imagine working for these guys. Imagine working for these guys. These developers, right? You meet them all the time. No, it's the biggest thing I want them to appreciate is that there is guys that are working for their favorite developers to do that job. Like always, we don't have middleware. We're not, like, it's the thing I'm really so proud of. Yes, we started out of Lumberyard. Yes, we started out of CryEngine. I've had a whole history with that. But we have become something so unique and so big that sometimes we're so busy on what we're doing. We look up and we'll even do some competitive analysis. I'll go into Unreal, I'll go into Unity, I'll look at other games projects or whatever and realize how at the top of the game we are. We are progressing amazingly, and those tools people are part of the reason why. There is huge areas of this game that aren't getting the tooling it needs, because I'm sure developers are watching this going, my tool's total garbage, right? Because I hear that stuff all the time too, every day. But it really depends on the area, it really depends on the process they're in, and it really depends on what they're working on. One of the things I like to say a lot of the times is that people like to complain about editor stability, is what I hear a lot. I'm like, hey, do you play the client? They're like, no, I'm always running in the editor. I'm like, well, listen, the client's running in the editor. So the editor is no more stable than the game. So please make the game stable and that editor gets more stable. You know, it's things like that. Like it's just the reality of the work that we do, that the tool that it comes into gets the blame. Copy build, the one I talked about on the onset. Exact same thing. Copy build's slow today. Copy build's not working. Copy build this, copy build that. And in the it's never copy build. It's always a network problem, build store issue, patcher bug, you know, like so honestly, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. It's a tough job to take that kind of stuff, but it's also incredibly rewarding because I was just doing some work today. I even said to the guy, just tell me it works. I need that dopamine hit. And realizing that, you know what? Just in satisfying sometimes the request or the need of a developer honestly gives me a sense of pride and joy and reward. So, you know, it's a great job to have, but it also can be tough on the same token. So.
Well,
What?
Sean Tracy, make your game stable 2026.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's it for the show, everybody. Thanks for watching. That's Sean Tracy, our Managing Director of Technical
Operations.
And whatnot. I'm Jared Huckabee. We've got a show next week. I don't actually know what it is. My producer's over there. She's been waiting to find out what next week's show is. Some shows like this one are booked months in advance based on travel and stuff like this. And some shows like next week, I forget about until like the week before, and I'll spend most of tomorrow frantically trying to fill it with something. I also did say that I would show you guys this. This is this jacket, this cool like windbreaker style jacket. It's Vanduli. The reason I said that I would show it to you guys because it's on the store is actually it's cool. They didn't get me one that was my size, so I can't wear it. I was like, oh, I'm like, this is really cool.
I definitely want one too.
I'm gonna wear it, and then it doesn't fit.
That's a nice one.
But it's pretty nice as far as the clothes that we've sold over the years. You know, I'm not gonna. I've never lied to you guys. I won't. Some of it's been a mixed bag. Some things are better than others and stuff like this. You know, you get trouble with manufacturing and stuff like this. This is actually pretty nice. So if you were ever on the fence about it, and you don't mind, you know, walking around like a Vandal thing, I think it's pretty good. It's very comfortable. I am going to ask for one that's actually in my size and wear it because it's pretty comfortable. And that is why I work in marketing. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Are we rating somebody? Probably, maybe not. Thanks for watching. I'm Jared. That's Sean. This has been Star Citizen Live. We'll probably see you next week, everybody. If not, we'll see you the week after that. Bye.
So now let's talk about it. I have to say, the most exciting things for me personally would be obviously the what do you call it? Oh snap! The character customizer. Dear Lord, I can't say that too fast or too correctly now, can I? Ooh. Yeah. I can't say that correctly at all today. Nope. The character customizer. I can't spell it all today, so I'm just gonna wing it. Good for me, right? So, how is everyone today after sitting through that for an hour or so? Hello, Rusty TV and RFC. How are you guys today? Nothing wrong with winging it. Yep. This is true. I will say the pipeline for creatures, I would be very happy if we would get a what do you call it? Aquatic setup. We have no aquatic creatures in Star Citizen right now. None. It's been my biggest thought that I would love to see aquatic creatures in Star Citizen. You know, more than just Valacar, but like fish. And maybe, you know, just simple stuff. We don't need complex everything, you know. Just some base stuff you can slap together and throw in there, right? Maybe I'm crazy. Space whales. There's the fish tank. I mean, snakes in the cave is aquatic. The limited aquatic, yes. There's the fish tank, yes. And then there's space whales. Space whales are kind of that niche of aerial or, yeah, aquatic kind of thing, yeah. I could see some sort of cetaceans in water, too. Something like that, yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm. What am I looking for? Oh, yeah, YouTube. Hold on. Yeah. Space whales. Those would be awesome too. I can't. I will admit, space whales would be awesome. Yeah. You know, I gotta say, this is the most people I've had in chat in a very long time. It's been a while since I've had this many. I think the most I've ever had was that tomato raid about a year and a half ago. Space Tomato raided me with like 200 people. It's crazy. Yeah. It's pretty funny when you get raided by people that big, but So what do you think, Victura? It was pretty enlightening. I like the idea of destructible environments. Don't know about the whole wear and tear that it'll do on the engine, you know, the physics, you know. I'm a little worried about that. Yeah, phasing it in. Please, phase it in. Stop talking about it. Put in a full plan. Implement it in, please. Well, yeah, things wear out and break. Yeah, lead fire claw. I'm also worried about that too. I'm kind of worried about, you know, just base building. It turns into a lag fest, yeah. And right now we only have so many planets. Right now, we only have what, 5 planets? Well, hold on. Mm-hmm. I think we only have like 3 solar systems. Only 2 of them have current planets, though. So, yeah. That needs to change immediately. We need to have frames of at least 30 to be decent in this day and age. 2 frames is sucky. Yeah. Yep. Oh my goodness. The NPCs are shooting at you at the same time, lol. Yeah, they are. They generally are. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated feeling right now. I want to be hopeful with this game, but after 7 years, I want to see more results and shit roll out. Like, I want to see what happens with crafting here in the next few weeks, and then I'll be the judge now. Maybe that's judgy and stuff, but I think that's a pretty valid viewpoint now. To want to honestly try something, see how it works, you know? I know the first initial patch is going to be garbage, but it is what it is, you know? The initial patch is always garbage. Always garbage. I know. Isn't that funny? Lead Fire Claw? Or Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 has, from what I understand, Elder Scrolls 6 was in development just after Elder Scrolls 5 left the development table. Right? From what I understand. I'm not saying it's 100% confirmed, but I am saying a lot of people are insinuating Elder Scrolls 6 started development sometime just after Skyrim wrapped up development. Like, maybe within a year or two. Have you guys heard that too? It wouldn't surprise me, honestly. They have that had that at the time, fresh knowledge from Skyrim, and then they packaged it up, held back on it for Starfield, which was, well, yeah. Starfield, yeah, 20 years. Always learning and incorporating in the next one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Victura. I mean, think about it. Skyrim wrapped up and released in 2011. That's 15 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. So I could say they were developing 6 at the same time as probably the later half of the development of 5. Yeah. It's why I kind of hesitate on calling Star Citizen a dead horse. It's very much not. Game development is a very fluid and changing thing, and sometimes the changes are very gradual, glacial almost. If that makes sense. Yeah. It's almost a supernaturally glacial change, yeah. Let's see. So, this is why a lot of these hit pieces and smear pieces for IGN and all these other corporations, they don't really affect me that much. Not as much as people think. Why? Well, it's simple. They just don't matter much, you know? Grand context of things. It's basically hearsay. Right, Victura? Nobody should really be paying these big news outlets an ounce of dignity anymore. But enough about that. How have you guys been doing this week? I'm back to school. I have a bunch of book work later tonight to get done, and I have a speech for public speaking probably due here in 2 weeks. I'm having to do a PowerPoint speech, I guess. I'm trying to remember what exactly mess I signed up for. Sometimes difficult when you forget. Okay, so wow. It is 50-ish degrees, and it does make me laugh too, Lev Fireclaw, basically because I don't know what will they add that's new apart from better AI NPCs. You know, what could they add? There's so many tools and ingenious tech that has been added over 40 years of gaming. It really makes you wonder what new anything they could add to games. Honestly, adding things to the mix seems like a bad idea. I think they should start focusing on story and going with whatever the client wants, you know? Because some of these people, well, these publishers, they're not listening to their fan bases very well anymore. I'm not saying that I condone bullying, but I don't also like them running their mouth. Thank you. That's exactly right. I don't like games like that either, that rely on modders to make the games better. No, we shouldn't have to do that. Or DLC to get the ending. Right? Or DLC to get the ending. That is such lazy game writing. There have actually been some games to do that recently. And it's so dumb. You and me both, dude. I mean, I'm not a fan of that kind of writing either. Okay. It's one of the best comments I've seen in a while. I mean, if we have more common sense people making games, I think there'd be a lot less, issue with that. And if they wrote stories that people liked, right? Actual storytelling without pissing off your fan base or the better part of it. Pissing off your fan base just to make some money is not a good thing. It can sometimes be a slippery slope. Hmm. Um. Fudge. Wow. Oh. So what else could we talk about today? Well, okay. I want to talk about something that's kind of bothered me for a bit. Elite Dangerous. Now, I'm going to get some flack for this, and I know I am. Okay? But have you noticed that there are people that think that hate that Elite Dangerous is selling ships now, yet they are now pumping content into a game that technically died in 2018, more or less. And should we be happy about that? Not really, but taking a bit of a branch from Star Citizen, selling ships could be beneficial for Frontier. Going on a branch here. I don't normally branch off, but in my opinion, they could use that money to develop a better engine, improve their stuff, and write other stories and stuff. I'm just saying. Now, of course, I could be wrong. They could just be using it to fatten their wallets, but I'd like to think they would use some of the money to better their game. You know what I mean, Lead Fireclaw? I barely play that game myself, but I'm just saying. It'd be nice if they used some of that money to invest back into the architecture of that game. Probably won't happen, but yeah. Okay. It would be nice to see them give it some love. You know what I mean, Led? I'm just saying. Reinvest back into it. Yeah. The crossplay community, I understand why they're mad. But I'm glad they've decided not to go back to crossplay. People will probably rage at me. Yeah, exactly. People will probably rage at me for saying, "Oh, you're mean." I'm like, get a real computer. I'm sorry. Get a real computer. Consoles can't emulate everything. That's why we have computers. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that, right? Yeah, and I'm glad they did that. Wife calling. Have to go. Have an awesome stream, but hey, you too, Live Fire Call. Thanks for stopping in. Well, for some, a PC is a bridge too far at the moment, so a console is perfectly fun. Are they having fun? And that's all that matters, at least to me. Well, and unfortunately, the manufacturer may not want stuff to be on a console, and like Squadron might be on a console, but not Star Citizen. Which I know, it sucks. And that makes sense, yes. But I've had people try to say that the PlayStation 7 will run Star Citizen, and I'm like, in what universe? And I'm like, I've been playing consoles, still do, since the early 80s or mid 80s, since I was a little kid. And let me tell you, there's some games that work good on console for mass sale and some that don't. Message too long. What? I need to adjust that. Sorry, Victora. Clearly, I was trying to sell you view bots. Yes. Also, no. Highly unlikely. Yes. Highly unlikely, however, but no. Lol. Oh my gosh. And I will tell you this, as soon as we get wave 1, I will be doing a what do you call it? A test run of this live. So I'm going to test out crafting. You're more than welcome to join me, Victoria, in channel and in testing. Let's see if we can drive these numbers way, way up. Yes, I'm absolute doofus. You'll get there. Yeah, I know. Yeah. What time is it? Okay, I got 18 minutes. Yeah, I do wonder something. Offhand, for the last 20 minutes of our talk, what do you think the smallest object they could make in Maelstrom with gravity will be? Maybe a few kilometers, maybe, Victoria? Like, say, I don't know, 20 to 40 kilometers? I'm talking like a large asteroid, like bigger than Levski's asteroid, but like a small moon. You know, like moon-size asteroid. Something with self-gravity, but not a huge amount of it. Yeah, I think they could make them pretty small, but that would be voxel based. How many points does a voxel have? Are they using 6-point or 8-point voxels? Do you know? Eight. 8-point voxels. So it'll have a lot more surface area. Okay. I'm assuming it could get pretty small. Like, I could see something as small as 15 kilometers. You know, bigger than Levski, but still a small asteroid. Might have a few mine deposits, maybe a cave, some craters, maybe some hills. Nothing too complex. Right. Well, I mean, for something with ore deposits, how big? Like, what do you think? 10, 15 kilometers? Maybe 5? Like an asteroid you can land an extractor on. That might even be too big. I think you could go down to a kilometer size for a single ore vein, but you'd probably be better off with 2 to 3 kilometers for probably the smallest ones with multiple ore veins or mineral deposits. Right, you would have nodes and veins. There'd probably be a singular vein running through a certain side of the asteroid, and the other part would probably have nodes. You know, like small lumps of other minerals, right? The rest would just be unprocessable rock. It's a good question, though. Very good question. Veason has joined us again. Or maybe not. Yeah, I have to shut this off for a bit. I think Rufus is left. Rufus. Did he leave? Nah, he's here. Rufus is still here. He's lurking. Lurking around. Mm. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, jeez. Oh, I've received 100 messages today. Finally, I have received 100 messages. Finally, 100 messages. Oh, let's get a drink. Yeah, on Twitch. It only took 100. It only took 2 hours. It's been super quiet today. So yeah, ore veins and stuff. I could definitely see like multiple deposits being on larger asteroids. Probably some smaller ones would have just simple other asteroid deposits. You know, like asteroids over a kilometer or so would probably have probably just, you know, at or below half a kilometer to 1.5 kilometers. You probably just have one or two ore veins, small ones, and maybe a bunch of mining nodes, maybe, right, Victoria? And then as we get bigger and bigger, we'd have more different mining deposits. Things that are approaching the size of a small moon would have gravity. You'd have to be careful not to get too close to the rotating asteroid, right? Because it's so big. Might have caves, craters, hills, some low gravity, all kinds of surface features. I mean, we're talking about things getting up to dwarf planet size. There's going to be a thin line between planets and moons and stuff. Oh, yeah. There'll be permits. There'll be permits to get, like, in the deep mining fields. You know, I could see them being called the Shubin mining fields or the ArcCorp mining fields. I could see some larger asteroids in the Lagrange points being there. Yeah. Oh, they'll do it. They'll do it. Just watch. Oh, yeah. Pretty high. It depends on what the asteroids are made of. And you may need it not just for mining it and selling it at market, but building things. You might have aluminum rocks, carbon rocks, magnesium rocks, things that you need for alloys. Alloys are generally expensive. Well, alloy rocks would probably be pretty hard to come by. Larger asteroids would obviously have more mineral choices. Comets, too. Comets would have ice nodes, a new type of node we've never seen before. They'd have icy nodes. It depends. If there's like a Kuiper belt, like out at the edge of the system, they may not even be in long orbits. They may just be frozen ice balls. But volatile, hit them with a laser too much and they may be more explosive than an asteroid. Bigger boom. Smaller rock. A much more dangerous thing to deal with. Think about it. The volatiles in an asteroid react to heat. Heat does not react well with an asteroid. Or anyways, what about a comet? A comet reacts just about as well as a moth or a can of liquid gasoline to a match. Poof! Liquid methane on Titan would spontaneously combust. So, I'm just saying, imagine that in an icy rock, and you're trying to keep the thermals down just enough to collect your material and then leave. Yeah. See what I'm saying, Victoria? It may be more dangerous to mine comets than asteroids. By a long shot. Oh yeah, pressurized ice. Ooh. Just need some exploration gameplay so I can find valuable mining sites and sell the coordinates or some shit like that. You know they're gonna make ore deposits that only people are gonna discover by jumping off in specific areas, and they're gonna be temporary mining deposits. They're gonna last for a few months. People are going to find them, make charts, sell them amongst themselves, and then they're going to vanish. They're going to be part of the system. Once the deposit is spent, they're going to recycle it. Yep. Pressurized ice, yeah. Just imagine. Pressure cooker there, Victoria. Right? Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Just think about those volatiles getting hit the wrong amount of radiation or heat, and then boom, yeah, your whole mining operation goes kaputski. Yeah, that'll look great to the investors, isn't it? That'll look great to the investors. They'll be so happy with you. No, I don't think they're going to be happy with you in particular. I think they're going to be very angry. Har, 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 Victora. Har, har, har. Yeah. Ugh, my nose. Kappa. Hey, don't you Kappa on me. Hey, now. Oh, my goodness. What time is it? Oh, God, it's 3:30. Damn. I've already been on for almost 2.5 hours. Sheesh. Didn't even feel like that already. Damn. Yeah, and I think I'm going to do another giveaway when I'm next on. I have some new stuff that I got. Subscriber store stuff, Victura, but it's that cool new stuff. Yeah. You know that box that we were looking at? I have 2 of those. Both of them I'm giving away the complete packs. Because those are going to be important. People are going to enjoy those because if they're in game and they need a medical pack, they're going to want those, you know? It's a sensible giveaway item. For all your medical needs. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm going to do. Keeping it open all during the show and pulling near the end. Exactly. We need to make sure everybody enters too. Last time we had a pretty good draw. We had like 5 or 6 contestants. I think we had 4 or 5. So, yeah. We had a successful draw last time. After a bit of issuing. Yeah. Okay. So Let me see. Check something real quick. Before I get off here, I'm going to find somebody to raid. Dismiss. I'm going to find somebody to raid real quick. Thank you all for hanging out for about 2 hours. I'm going to find somebody to raid following and see who we have. Over Star Citizening. Let's raid good old Arc VR. Start raid. Yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate you all. Give Arc a good follow. Oh, I will be good. Trust me. 07 everybody.